guys, so it's me, Tartarus Queen Dragoness. So in this video I'm going to be explaining, as short as I possibly can in this video, the different confusing genders that are out there. Now, for those of you who don't know, there's not such thing as 1,000 genders, okay? There just really isn't. Pangender, gender fluid, stuff like that, yeah, those do exist. And I'm going to acknowledge those. But I think essentially what I want to get through this video is probably the primary definitions of the transgender community, which I'm so happy to be a part of. So let's get the first definition out of the way. The first definition I would get out of the way is transgender. Transgender people are basically people, which is an umbrella term of people who identify that as of the opposite gender that they are born with. Now, that covers a myriad of different aspects, I think, that people are not aware of. I think pangender probably fits that definition by a small margin. And that small margin is going to end up, being explained later on. So let's start off with the big one, and that is transsexuals. Transsexuals are basically people who are suffering from gender dysphoria. Okay, gender dysphoria. And these are people with a brain that is female, but the body is a male, or that the brain is a male and the body is a female. So that pretty much can be identified later on, early on in life, around age 3, when the child has already actually affirmed their gender. However, after age 3, if they continue to live life as a female or like to play dolls and stuff like that, I suggest that you probably scan their brain, because chances are they have gender dysphoria. But this is like a conflicting science, because there are doctors out there that claim that gender dysphoria kind of dissipates around puberty. But I don't think that's the case. I mean, some of these articles just popped up later on in life, after the fact that these studies were made. Whether it's true or not, it hasn't really been confirmed. This is just hearsay. So I think the science community is actually confusing the transgender community, therefore confusing a lot of people, therefore confusing a lot of hate. So yeah, that's an issue. So before I get really off topic, let's go into the next gender, which is pretty much an open book, which is crossdressers. Now, crossdressers are legitimately men who, define themselves as men, who essentially dress up as the opposite gender. They are attracted to only women. Okay, same thing with cross-dressing women. They are attracted to men. Okay, they're straight beings who wear clothing of the opposite gender as a form of stress relief. So that's essentially what a cross-dresser is. They identify as straight, but they are attracted to the opposite gender, which explains that they are heterosexual. And then, which brings me to I guess you could say, a subsect of the cross-dressing community. There are cross-dressers out there that legitimately do in fact identify that as the transsexual community. However, their gender dysphoria isn't as strong as those of the transsexuals. I think it does exist from what I can see and from from what I could feel, okay, from what I could feel, and from what I've experienced, I don't feel like a woman trapped in a man's body. But then again, I don't see myself as a person who identifies themselves with a gender that they are born with. The difference between me and the cross-dressing community is the fact that I don't identify as a straight male. I really don't. But then again, I don't see myself as being attracted to the same gender either. So in my case, I would be considered a cross-dressing transsexual, which is pretty much what a bisexual person really is. They are attracted to both genders. So as cross-dressers, I guess you could say the closest thing that could happen, the closest word that could be describing me is pangender, I think. But, you know, for the simplicity's sake, I'm a cross-dressing transsexual, pretty much. So, yeah, that's the difference between that. However, the word drag queen essentially is a man who's attracted to men only, or women, or women who are attracted to women, but they wear clothes in exaggeration of the opposite gender. They still identify themselves as straight men, but they are attracted to their same gender. So yeah, are drag queens considered to be transgenders? No, simply because they don't identify themselves as the opposite gender. They still identify themselves as heterosexual, but they are attracted to the same gender, which makes them homosexual. But wait, you're probably asking yourself, well, isn't that what a transsexual is? No, in actuality, a transsexual is a person that is straight in the mind, who is actually a straight woman or a straight man, but just so happens to have the body that they are opposite to, that they are supposed to have. So that does not mean that they're gay, essentially. They were never gay to begin with. They were straight men and straight female, but their body didn't match the gender that their brain is telling them that they're supposed to be. So yeah, and as far as me is concerned, I am a transgender person because of the mere fact that I'm attracted to both men and women, but I dress up as the opposite gender. You see where I'm going with this? So basically, I'm a bisexual person. Transsexual is a homosexual, but they ended up with a body that didn't define their heterosexual mindset. And with gays, they're attracted to their own gender, but they still identify as straight, so they are not transgender. And cross-dressers, they dress up as women or men, but they still like the opposite gender. They're attracted to the opposite gender. So yeah, I hope this video actually alleviated a lot of the confusion between the different definitions and different nuances of the genders. Now, as far as pangender and gender fluid, would I consider myself to be under those? I think those genders are viewpoint genders, to say the least. But then again, I'm not really familiar with the whole aspect of it. I probably think that I'm a pangender because there's really no definition for a person who is a transsexual crossdresser. And I think the closest definition to a transsexual crossdresser is probably that of a pangender, which means that they are part of the trans community. So yeah, that's a new one for me, in all honesty. So I hope you guys found this video okay, and alleviate some of the confusion that's out there. And with that being said, regress que bache.